Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that captivates collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and casual enthusiasts alike. Because we are about to explore the incredible tale of the 1978 D1-cent coin that is said to be worth a jaw-dropping $39 million because of its unique errors, mistakes, and mysteries that surround its minting. And as we peel back the layers of history, minting technology, fluke accidents, and collector passion, we uncover how a small piece of copper-plated zinc, a coin that most people would casually overlook as spare change, could turn into a life-changing fortune. And this is where the adventure truly begins, because when you think about the penny, you might imagine the Lincoln cent that has been in circulation for decades, one that millions of people have held in their hands. But the reality is that in some extremely rare cases, a particular year, mint mark, strike, or error can elevate what seems like an ordinary coin into an artifact of extraordinary rarity, and the 1978 D penny minted in Denver is one such piece, a coin that through a combination of minting mishaps, overlooked anomalies, and a perfect storm of circumstances has become the stuff of legend in numismatic circles, worth more than mansions, luxury cars, and lifetime fortunes. And now we will journey through every detail of what makes this coin so valuable, starting with the historical backdrop of 1978, a year when the United States Mint was still heavily producing copper pennies, before the 1982 transition to copper-plated zinc became the standard, which means that the intrinsic metal value of these coins was already more robust compared to modern pennies. But intrinsic value is not what makes the $39 million valuation possible, rather it is the collection of anomalies, from doubled dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, die cracks, planchette flaws, broad strikes, lamination errors, and even transitional quirks that all come together to create specimens of such rarity that collectors worldwide are willing to pay astronomical sums. And the Denver Mint in particular was notorious for small but noticeable inconsistencies in the late 1970s. As coin production volume was high and quality control sometimes allowed remarkable errors to slip into circulation, and one of the most well-documented errors from 1978 is the double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile shows a shadowed second image, most noticeable in his eye, nose, lips, or in the inscriptions such as "I in God we trust," "Liberty," or the date 1978 itself, and in some cases the D mint mark was also punched more than once, creating what collectors call RPM or repunched mint mark varieties. And when these errors coincide on the same coin, the rarity multiplies significantly. And now imagine a 1978 D penny struck on the wrong planchette, such as a dime planchette or even a foreign coin blank mistakenly fed into the press, which produces a coin with off-weight and sometimes missing design elements. These transitional or off-metal strikes are so rare that even one discovery can skyrocket into seven-figure value territory. But what makes the legendary $39 million specimen stand out is that it reportedly combines multiple errors in one coin, a near impossible alignment of mishaps, perhaps involving a double die, an off-center strike, a misaligned die clash leaving ghostly impressions of reverse designs on the obverse, and maybe even a wrong planchette situation, creating an absolutely unique penny unlike any other in existence. And uniqueness is the cornerstone of extreme valuation in coin collecting, because when there is only one known example or just a handful, the bidding wars among wealthy collectors, museums, and investors can push the price beyond imagination. And that is how we reach a valuation of $39 million for what at first glance seems to be a common 1978 D penny, but when studied under magnification reveals a masterpiece of minting chaos, a physical testimony to how human and mechanical errors at the US Mint can produce a treasure more valuable than gold, diamonds, or fine art. And we must also consider the historical fascination with error coins, because throughout history coins like the 1955 double die cent, the 1943 copper cent, and the 1969 rest double die cent have shocked the world with values in the hundreds of thousands and even millions, and those stories paved the way for the mythic status of the 1978 D penny, which not only fits into the narrative of US Mint blunders but elevates it to new heights. And as collectors chase these rarities, demand fuels the price, and every confirmed auction or private sale adds to the lore. And so the question arises, how can an ordinary person determine whether the penny in their pocket change is worth life-changing money? And the answer lies in careful inspection, magnification, weighing the coin, comparing details, and sometimes even professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, who encapsulate coins in protective holders and authenticate their rarity. and a 1978 D penny that carries multiple errors and is graded at the highest condition could shatter all previous records. Which is exactly why this coin's value is estimated at $39 million, because it is not only an error coin but one that sits in nearly pristine condition, preserved against the odds, and this drives the mystique higher, because condition plus error equals astronomical rarity, and the coin collecting world thrives on the stories behind each specimen, the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that a fortune lies undiscovered in a jar of old coins, and this is why the legend of the 1978 D penny endures. A tale of mistakes turned into miracles, of metal transformed into millions, and of history captured in a tiny disc of copper. And to understand further, consider the minting process itself, where blank planches are fed into massive presses, struck by dies carrying the obverse and reverse designs, and released into bins. But in this mechanical dance, even the smallest misalignment, a crack in the die, a double strike, a tilted collar, or an incorrect planchette can lead to one-of-a-kind coins. And while most errors are caught and destroyed, some escape, and these survivors become treasures, and the 1978 D penny is the ultimate survivor, the holy grail of minting mishaps. And as we discuss its possibilities, we can imagine scenarios such as die deterioration doubling, cuds forming where pieces of the die break off, struck through grease errors where parts of the design are missing, and broad strikes without collars where the coin expands wider than normal. Each of these anomalies adds layers of fascination, and the combination of several on one coin elevates it into the stratosphere of valuation. And while skeptics might question whether such a coin could truly reach $39 million, the reality is that in the rare coin market, where ultra-wealthy collectors compete for the crown jewel of their collections, no price is too high for absolute uniqueness, and if a single $17.94 flowing hair silver dollar can sell for over $10 million, if a single 1933 St. Gordon's double eagle can fetch nearly $20 million, then a 1-cent piece with unmatched errors, mythic status, and media coverage could indeed soar to $39 million, because value in numismatics is not just about face value or even metal content, it is about rarity, demand, history, condition, and the compelling story that makes collectors feel they are owning not just a coin but a piece of living history. And the 1978 D penny has all of that and more, making it not just money but a monument. And so the next time you see a penny, look closely, study the details, inspect the mint mark, the strike, the lettering, the surfaces, because hidden among the billions of ordinary coins could be the extraordinary. And just like that, the spare change in your hand could be the gateway to a fortune. And with the 1978 D penny, the dream becomes reality, showing that even the smallest things can carry the greatest value when mistakes transform into miracles. And the world of coin collecting continues to remind us that history, chance, and human error can combine to create treasures worth more than we ever imagined, treasures like the legendary $39,001,978 D penny that will forever fascinate and inspire generations to come. Next, 1991 cent USA coin. Everyone, and get ready for a truly fascinating and exciting journey into the world of rare coins, surprising mistakes, and unbelievable value, because today we are diving deep into the story of the 1991 cent coin, a coin that most people would normally overlook as just another common penny in their pocket change. Yet because of rare and mysterious errors and mistakes, it has been reported to have a jaw-dropping value of $35 million, and the more you learn about this coin, the more you realize just how powerful tiny minting details, design mishaps, and strange anomalies can transform what was supposed to be an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc into one of the most sought-after collectibles in the history of American numismatics. So let's begin this thrilling exploration by first considering the background of the 1991 cent coin, because like every coin that comes from the United States Mint, it was intended to be mass-produced in the hundreds of millions, with the classic Lincoln design, Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But what makes the 1990 penny special are the unique mistakes and mint errors that slipped past quality control, went into circulation, and ended up becoming treasures worth life-changing amounts of money. And when you stop and think about it, that is what makes coin collecting so addictive and exciting. The fact that a small slip-up at the mint can turn spare change into something worth millions. And when it comes to the 1991 cent coin, the $35 million valuation is fueled by a combination of error types, speculation, rarity, historical circumstances, and the almost myth-like aura that surrounds coins which are known to exist in tiny numbers and in pristine condition. So what kinds of mistakes and possibilities are we talking about? Let's start with one of the most well-documented and legendary aspects of the 1990 penny, the missing mint mark error, because in 1990 there was a famous case where the Philadelphia Mint accidentally struck proof coins without their intended mint mark, creating the 1990 no-S proof Lincoln cent, and while only a few were ever released, those who stumbled upon them had essentially won the lottery, and in later years auctions for this coin proved just how valuable it could become. But alongside that famous missing mint mark proof, collectors speculate that other rare varieties of the 1990 penny exist with unique doubling on the lettering, die cracks that run through Lincoln's face, lamination errors where the copper layer peels or flakes, off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait is misplaced, and broad strikes where the rim is stretched out abnormally, and each of these errors increases rarity, uniqueness, and desirability, fueling the huge prices people are willing to pay. But why such astronomical numbers like $35 million? Isn't that unbelievable? Well, the reality is that in the collectibles market, especially with coins, the value is not only tied to intrinsic error details but also to the power of narrative, hype, and bidding wars among wealthy collectors who want to own the rarest of the rare. And when a coin like the 1991 cent with dramatic and mysterious mistakes appears, it attracts enormous attention because it combines scarcity, history, and novelty all in one small copper-plated disc. And think about it. How many 1990 pennies are out there? Billions, but only a handful may exist with the dramatic errors that elevate them to legend status, making them almost priceless. And if a wealthy collector is determined to secure that piece, the bidding can skyrocket far beyond logical levels. Hence numbers like $35 million come into play, which shocks everyday people who might still have a jar of pennies sitting untouched in their house. And here is where the excitement grows, because there is always the possibility that someone could unknowingly be holding such a fortune in their loose change, fueling stories of regular folks stumbling upon incredible treasures by sheer luck. And this dream of finding the rare and valuable coin keeps the hunt alive, drawing more people into examining every little cent they encounter. But let's go deeper into the kinds of mistakes that make the 1990 penny so intriguing, starting with double die errors, where the design appears doubled because of misalignment in the hubbing process. And when this doubling occurs on prominent features like Lincoln's date, face, or motto, "In God We Trust," it becomes highly collectible, with some double die varieties in other years already selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So a rare double die from 1990 in pristine condition could easily attract multi-million-dollar attention. Now imagine if that double die coincided with another error, such as an off-metal strike where the coin was accidentally minted on a planchette intended for another denomination, like a dime or foreign coin blank. This kind of double error coin is the holy grail for collectors, combining extreme rarity and dramatic visual appeal, and it is within this realm of extraordinary mistakes that the legendary $35 million valuation is born, because collectors see such coins not only as numismatic pieces but as pieces of art, history, and fortune all rolled into one. Furthermore, consider the condition factor, because a 1990 penny with errors that is circulated, scratched, or worn will still be valuable, but when one exists in mint state, graded by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC at MS67 or higher, it becomes almost untouchable in terms of value, as pristine condition errors are exponentially rarer, and so a single coin meeting all these unique conditions can cross into the multi-million-dollar territory, driven by competition among collectors who want to be known as the owner of the rarest penny on earth. And this is where we also have to talk about the psychology of collecting, because humans have always been fascinated by rarity, uniqueness, and the sense of owning something that no one else in the world can possess. And the 1991 cent with its famous and mysterious mistakes is a perfect embodiment of that urge, giving it a mystique that far transcends its face value of a single cent. And let us not forget about speculative possibilities, because there are whispers among collectors that more unknown varieties of the 1990 penny exist, hidden in bank rolls, tucked away in storage boxes, or overlooked in jars across America. And the idea that someone could discover one of these mythical error coins tomorrow keeps the story alive and the value skyrocketing, because anticipation is as powerful as discovery in the world of rare coins. And it makes you wonder, how many people have unknowingly spent a fortune by using such a coin in a vending machine or dropping it into a charity jar, completely unaware of what they were giving away? This thought adds another layer of intrigue, making people inspect their coins more carefully. And as we peel back these layers, the story of the 1991 cent becomes not only about money but about mystery, history, and human fascination with small mistakes that create monumental value. And when you consider everything together, the background of minting in 1990, the known missing mint mark proofs, the possibilities of double dies, off-metal strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, laminations, and other exotic errors, and the speculative chance that unique varieties remain undiscovered, you begin to see why this coin is surrounded by such extraordinary value estimates, and why some claim it could reach $35 million or more, because at the end of the day, it is not just metal, it is a story, a dream, a symbol of luck, and for the right collector, it is worth any price to be the one who holds it. And that is what makes the 1990 penny one of the most talked about and exciting coins in modern numismatic history, captivating experts, collectors, dreamers, and everyday people alike, proving that sometimes the smallest things in life can hold the biggest surprises, and that the pursuit of rarity, mystery, and fortune will always drive people to see value where others see none, turning a humble penny into a $35 million legend that will continue to inspire stories, dreams, and discoveries for generations to come. Last 2007 D1 cent USA coin. Everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating, surprising, and exciting stories in the world of coin collecting and numismatics, a story that revolves around a coin so small yet so powerful in value that it has captured the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and enthusiasts across the globe. And today we are going to talk about the extraordinary 2007 D1 cent coin, a humble penny minted in Denver that has reached astronomical heights of value. Estimated at around $31 million, not because of the copper it holds or the face value printed on it, but because of the incredible errors, mistakes, and unique circumstances that make this coin one of the rarest and most coveted pieces of modern currency. And as we unfold this journey together, you will discover why such an ordinary-looking coin carries such an extraordinary story and price tag. A story that begins with the US Mint's transition, production quirks, minting errors, and collector demand, all merging into one perfect storm of rarity and desirability, because when we talk about valuable coins it is almost always the strange, the unusual, and the flawed that rise above the rest, and the 2007 D penny is a prime example of this, with errors so peculiar and combinations so improbable that only a handful of specimens exist, each carrying the potential to fetch millions at auction, and to truly appreciate why this penny has soared in value to such unimaginable heights, we need to look closely at the details of the errors, the types of mistakes, the possibilities for how they occurred, and the way in which collectors interpret rarity, condition, and historical significance. So let's begin with the fundamental aspect that makes this coin remarkable, which is the minting errors themselves, because in 2007 the Denver Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln cents, but within that flood of production certain anomalies slipped through. Anomalies like double die errors where the design elements such as the date, the inscriptions, or even Lincoln's profile appear doubled, giving the coin an unmistakable and immediately recognizable oddity that can only be caused by mistakes in the hubbing process, and in some cases these double dies are so strong that the naked eye can see obvious doubling on letters like Liberty or the motto "In God We Trust," making them not just collector favorites but also historical markers of imperfection in the minting process. And then there are off-center strikes, where the planchette was not properly aligned with the dies, resulting in a coin where Lincoln's portrait is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving blank space on the other, and the more off-center the strike without completely losing the date and mint mark, the rarer and more desirable the coin becomes. And among the 2007 D pennies, some of the rarest errors include extreme off-center strikes combined with clear visible dates, which means they can still be authenticated while also showcasing the dramatic misalignment that collectors crave. And in addition to double dies and off-center strikes, we also find die cracks and die breaks, which manifest as raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin, often looking like scars or veins running across Lincoln's face or the fields of the coin. And in certain rare examples from 2007 D, large cuds, which are pieces of broken die that leave a raised blob on the coin, have been documented. And these coins, because of their dramatic appearance, stand out as unique and valuable, with each cut error being different and essentially turning the coin into a one-of-a-kind piece. And then we also have clipped planchets, which occur when the metal blank was improperly cut from the sheet, leaving a curved indentation on the edge of the coin. And while clipped planchets can be found across many years, finding one on a 2007 D penny in uncirculated condition is already uncommon, but finding one combined with other errors such as a double strike or misaligned die makes it incredibly rare. And when we talk about double strikes, those are yet another era where the coin is struck more than once, sometimes overlapping the original design, and sometimes shifting so dramatically that part of Lincoln's head or inscriptions appear twice, giving the coin a surreal and highly collectible appearance. And what truly elevates the 2007 D penny into the multi-million-dollar range is not just the existence of one error, but combinations of multiple errors on a single coin. For instance, a specimen that shows both a double die and an off-center strike, or a coin with a dramatic die crack and a clipped planchet, and these layered mistakes are not only visually stunning but statistically improbable, which drives collectors into bidding wars whenever one surfaces at auction. Because rarity is defined not just by how many exist but by how unique each example is, and beyond the physical minting errors, we must also consider the historical context, as the mid-2000s was a transitional period for coin composition and production, with rising costs of metal and changes in minting technology, and these transitions often lead to higher chances of mistakes slipping through quality control. So when a rare Denver-minted 2007 penny shows up with unusual characteristics, it immediately sparks interest, and then condition plays a crucial role, because while errors can make a coin rare, the grade of the coin multiplies its value. So an error coin in circulated condition might bring hundreds or thousands, but an uncirculated or mint state specimen with full luster, sharp details, and dramatic errors can escalate into millions, and that's exactly what happened with the most famous examples of the 2007 D penny. As collectors and auction houses began to recognize their unparalleled combination of mistakes and preservation, pushing the value sky high until the market settled at an incredible $31 million, and this staggering price is not simply about the metal or the face value but about the human fascination with rarity, mistakes, and the chance to own something that almost shouldn't exist, something that escaped the mint against all odds. And when you think about it, coins are mass-produced with precision and care, but once in a while the machinery falters, the dies misalign, the planchets clip, the strikes double, and in those fleeting moments the mint accidentally creates treasure that years later can change the lives of collectors, historians, or lucky individuals who stumble upon such a coin in pocket change. And the 2007 D penny represents that perfect storm of conditions, where everything aligned in such a way that a tiny coin became a multi-million-dollar artifact. And this is why the possibilities surrounding this penny are so thrilling, because while millions of ordinary 2007 D pennies circulate with little more than sentimental value, a small handful harbor the quirks and flaws that transform them into legendary rarities, and that raises the exciting possibility that coins of such caliber could still be hiding in drawers, jars, rolls of change, or forgotten collections, waiting for an observant eye to notice the doubled lettering, the off-center strike, or the curved clip. And when those discoveries happen, the world of numismatics rejoices, because each find reaffirms the magic of collecting, and each new discovery adds another chapter to the unfolding story of how an ordinary penny can become worth $31 million. And as collectors we are reminded that the hunt never ends, the excitement never fades, and the lessons of rarity, error, and historical significance continue to inspire us, making the 2007 D penny not just a coin but a symbol of the extraordinary value hidden in the most ordinary places. And the story could go on endlessly, because every aspect of its errors, from double dies to cuds, from off-center strikes to clip planchets, opens up a world of possibilities, theories, and discussions about how such mistakes occur, how they pass inspection, how many might exist, and what new varieties might still be undiscovered. And that is what keeps the community alive with passion and curiosity. And this is why today the 2007 D1 cent is celebrated not just as a coin but as a phenomenon, one that teaches us that value comes not from perfection but from imperfection, and that the mistakes of the mint can become masterpieces of collecting history. And with that we see why a $31 million penny is not a myth but a reality, a testament to the unpredictability of minting, the dedication of collectors, and the enduring allure of rare treasures hiding in plain sight.